and we're going to take you on through it. This one is entitled Trump Nixes Iran Strike for Now. Excuse me. So that was kind of the big news. Later today, there's other things going on. Basically, they're trying to cut deals, and you've got a world where you're either going towards China or you're going towards America. And they're trying to cut deals with South Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and basically just make it so we get our manufacturing them there. I think Trump is really trying to go for the hit on China. That's just what he's doing, for better or for worse, whether you like it or not, whatever. He is going after China, and, well, we'll have to see if it works. We will have to see if it works. We know that some of our big tech friends like to suck off China, so, it was stupid to put all of our manufacturing and become a service industry or a service economy in the last 25, 30 years. So this one lady commented and said, God, he's ruining everything. And I put the comment back. I said, if you really want to get mad, let's get mad at the last 40 years and taking all of our manufacturing and just, shipping it out overseas to wherever. So I think that's what the goal is now, is just to basically try to rein that back in. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be painful. Might not work. We're seeing all the market gyrations. So we're just going to have to figure it out. But, you either do it now or you do it later. It's coming. So I guess we'll just have to figure it all out, But they are, my God, it's only April 16th. They've been in for less than 3 months. And they are really going after it. And of course, like Joe Biden had saying, look, I can't believe how much damage they've done in 3 months. Well, if you're an alcoholic and you're sitting there drinking yourself to death and everything's all right, but then you try to come off the sauce, and getting sober is really making you sick, which happens to a lot of people. That's just part of it. We gotta get off the sauce. We gotta get off the China sauce. So we'll see. It's going. Our corporate media is going to sit there and make it seem like all double hockey sticks is breaking loose, which there's a lot of problems going on, but it really is showing and exposing threadbare where everybody is who is into the country of America or is in the country of globalism, which is basically China. So that's it. That's what it is. So we'll see. So let's tell you all about it, friends. Okay. If you are new here, please check out all the links in the descriptions and other places we are. So we would love to have you. Blessings to you too, Joy. Let's get started on the Crisis Report, the most comprehensive news on YouTube. Suppressed. That's because they don't like it, because we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're doing it right. That's how I know I'm doing it right. Another sub said, why I come to you? It's because I know you're not going to sell out. I'm not going to. I'm not. I'm not here to pimp anything. I make a pittance from this. I'm here because I think you need to know. I want to know. I'm going to tell everybody about it. And whatever the heck happens, I've even in the last recent day had thoughts about maybe taking this over to Rumble. But we're not going to do that yet because in my mind, you got to go where the fight is. So who we got there? Thank you for gifting. I can't read that. I think that's Rhonda. Hi, Rhonda. Thank you so much. Yeah, you got to go where the fight is. You're not going to change anything by sitting there on the sidelines and letting people do the damage that they do. So That's why I got into education. I got pissed off at the crap I was seeing, and now we're in there locking horns with people. So, but guess what? I mean, for the multiple years I've been there, it's actually kind of working. So, sometimes you got to roll your sleeves up and get in there, and that's what we're doing. So, we appreciate your support. If you like what we're doing, you can join us as a member here. It keeps Borgarino off the back, but, you know, Borg gonna Borg. Yeah, they hate PrepperNow too now. They're barely getting any more views on my videos. It's funny though. I get much more the allocation of funds from the platform as I do, here. So I don't know. It's almost like they're lying to you about the views that I get. But anyway, Ron, thanks so much. Well, let's get started. Let's get going. Let's lock horns. Let's go, YouTube. You want to go? Let's go. WHO countries are striking an agreement on tackling future Ronademics. Hong Kong has suspended postal service to U.S. after tariff hikes. Postal service will stop handling packages coming from or going to the United States. China says it's not afraid to fight trade war with the U.S. Obviously, we are not afraid to fight with them. IRS could see mass exodus of up to 40% of its workforce due to the Trump administration buyouts offer and widespread layoffs, with about 22,000 employees already accepting the deferred resignation offer. Oh no, what a terrible thing. Please do not go, my IRS agent friends. It would be a terrible thing. Yeah, don't let the good Lord, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Get out. We don't care. Honda says shifting hybrid Civic production from Japan to U.S., obviously to beat the tariffs. Iran foreign minister says uranium enrichment non-negotiable after Trump envoy was urged to halt. Hold on real quick. Whoosh. Trump says he will meet Japan's tariff envoy on Wednesday. The admin is also suing Maine over the participation of changer athletes from one to the other in girls' sports. Senate Republicans say that China must not own a single acre of American farmland. It's almost like we're in a war with them already. Iran is not far from a nuclear bomb, International Atomic Energy Agency chief tells Le Monde. Carmelo Anthony and his family are reportedly renting a $900,000 home in a gated community and have purchased a brand new car following his release on bond in the Austin Metcalf murder case. It's going to suck when he goes to jail, because that's where he belongs. You can't stab someone and murder them and expect, to walk free. Maybe in other states, but I got a feeling that Texas might be a little different. United Kingdom Supreme Court has unanimously determined that changer women do not meet the legal definition of women, a term legally reserved for individuals born biologically female. So, if you're born with a dingus and you remove it and you go the other way, it doesn't matter to the UK Supreme Court. Director of the White House, Office of Science and Technology Policy, stated that U.S. government technology is capable of manipulating time and space. Okay. Trump is set to cut foreign aid by 75%, including $27 billion cut to the State Department, reducing funding to UN, NATO, and more than 20 international organizations. Oh gosh, what a terrible shame. You're going to get rid of the NGOs that are doing such wonderful things for our country, like shipping in a bunch of people to suck off the teat of America. Hopefully you paid your taxes yesterday. Russian President Vladimir Putin has announced that nuclear-powered systems originally developed during the Soviet era are now operational in space. Senator Chris Van Hollen, his mission is going to secure the release of a deported MS-13 member in El Salvador. Well, it failed after he was unable to reach the individual by phone because El Salvador don't give a crap. And they're going to try, and if this is the hill that they want to die on. I put a video out on PrepperNow earlier. You probably didn't get a notification or anything about it because it's critical of the godlike Democrats, but who cares? It's not going to work. The guy is a confirmed terrorist, and he should not be allowed in the country. And anybody who says that he does is a fucking idiot. Yeah, we're a little salty tonight. Powerful geomagnetic storm is now impacting Earth and could cause disruptions to satellites, GPS, power grids, and radio communications. President Trump has officially rejected Israel's plan to strike Iran's nuclear sites, choosing diplomacy and negotiations instead. GoFundMe has been launched for Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the deported MS-13 gang member, so he can go out and rent a $900,000 home and buy a new car. Because idiots. U.S. officials plan to use negotiations with 70-plus nations to ask them to disallow China to ship goods through their countries. War, baby. U.S. judge finds probable cause to find Trump administration in contempt over deportations, according to the filing. And Trump responded with, well, the judge says Trump administration officials responsible for defying the order. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. He has a response to this. So they can ship all the people in they want, but as soon as we get rid of them, because they're criminals, they start going after the people that are getting rid of them. I mean, it's just bizarro world. Puerto Rico has experienced an island-wide power outage. Shares of semiconductor giants NVIDIA, AMD sink more than 10%. IRS is reportedly planning to revoke Harvard University's tax-exempt status because they create terrorists. President Trump says a big progress on tariffs after meeting Japan's envoy. Radicalized judge saying that sleepy Joe Biden can fly more than 500,000 illegals into America. This is Trump's response. He said, in one day, but we have to hold many years of long and tedious trials to fly each and every one of them back home. Where's the justice here? It's almost like they want the country to collapse and shit the bed financially. Am I wrong? You bring in, probably closer to 1 million people, and then crazy crap starts happening. People vote that they don't want this here. It's polled. People don't want them here, the majority. And now these judges say, no, you got to fly them back and give them like a proper trial and everything. Like, should we wipe their ass too? I say send them down to El Salvador and let them, figure it out. Patty Morin, daughter Rachel, was murdered by an illegal immigrant in Maryland. Well, she embraced Donald Trump today. And Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the supposed godlike Democrat dad who everybody loves on the left, MS-13 gang member, I might add, was deported to El Salvador last month and was a member of the criminal organization with the street name Chele. Newly released documents revealed. So he is a confirmed terrorist. Trump immigration officials and the U.S. DOJ service are seeking to use Medicare database as part of their crackdown on undocumented immigrants, according to Washington Post. White House announced China now faces up to a 245% tariff on imports to the United States as a result of its retaliatory actions. There will be war. Trump plans to use tariff negotiations and blackmail other countries to isolate China, according to the Wall Street Journal. Trump plans to, it's called negotiating, it's not blackmail, okay? They do it to us. So are they blackmailing us? No, they're using tariffs. We understand do we understand how this works? They don't just blackmail us, they negotiate. They've got tariffs on us. We can't have tariffs on them. Trump plans to offer lower tariffs to over 70 countries in exchange for cutting economic ties with China. Under the proposal by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, partner nations would be asked to block Chinese goods from transiting through their borders, ban Chinese firms from setting up operations, avoid importing cheap Chinese shit and other products. Trump rejected a $50 billion deal with Ukraine and refused to supply weapons, even for money, according to The Bild. According to the media, Trump is more interested in negotiations with Putin than in making money from arms supplies. China is importing record amounts of Canadian oil after cutting U.S. purchases by 90% amid trade war. They're having a little bit of a election up there, and the Liberals have a 2-point lead right now. No comment. Carney will most surely be supported by the Chinese, so he'll probably win. Wonder what kind of voting machines they use up there. U.S. plans to have troop presence in Syria amid regional military buildup. U.S. military plans to consolidate its presence in Syria, potentially cutting its troop count from about 2,000 to 1,000, according to U.S. officials. While one official cited a possible 50% reduction, another expressed skepticism, noting regional tensions and recent U.S. military reinforcements, including bombers and air defense systems. Meanwhile, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is carrying out a global review of U.S. military troops around the world. Belgium is preparing to implement painful cuts to its welfare system to reach NATO's defense spending target. Can't have your cake and eat it too, friends. China grows before tariffs hit. Slowdown looms. China's economy grew 5.4% in quarter one 2025 as exporters rushed to beat Trump's new tariffs. But with U.S. and allies slamming the brakes on Chinese trade, growth may dive to 3.4% this year. A global slowdown looms. Retail sales rose 5.9% in March, helped by trade-in discounts. However, economists slashed growth forecasts. UBS expects a 10% drop in total exports and 3.4% GDP growth for 2025. Fewer than 100 days into the new administration, they have done to so much damage and destruction. It's kind of breathtaking it could happen that soon. That is according to Joe. U.S. has scaled back its repayment demands from Ukraine. Aid estimate from $300 billion is now down to about $100 billion in recent talks. U.S. has planned to use tariff negotiations to isolate China. 70 countries in exchange, cutting economic ties. They're going to block Chinese goods from transiting through their borders, ban Chinese from setting up operations, and avoid importing cheap Chinese industrial products. Insider trading, 2.5 million bet turns into 70 million in 60 seconds. On April 9th, 2025, a mysterious trader made what appears to be one of the most profitable and suspicious trades in recent Wall Street history by betting 2.5 million on SPY call options that were set to expire the same day. The trader walked away with over 70 million in profit within 60 minutes. 1:01 p.m., 30,000 contracts at $509 strike, but while SPY traded under 500. Trump's post sends SPY soaring. Within minutes, options jump from $0.85 to $25 plus, turning $2.5 million into $70 million, a 2,700% gain. U.S. could lose up to $90 billion in 2025 as foreign tourism drops and boycotts of American goods rise. March saw a 10% decline in non-citizen air travel, and Goldman Sachs warns this could shave 0.3% off GDP if the trend worsens. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon has urged the Trump administration to immediately start talks with China to end the trade war. He warned that ongoing tariff tensions could damage U.S. economic credibility and investor confidence. There's no engagement right now. You could start tomorrow. I would want to negotiate eventually with Europe, UK, Japan, Korea, Australia, Philippines, and have a very strong economic relationship. China has tightened grip on rare earths targeting the United States. As trade tensions rise, Beijing weaponizes 7 rare earth metals critical to U.S. military and tech. From fighter jets to MRI machines, these elements are everywhere, and China controls the supply chain. Terbium, key for smartphone screens. Yttrium, used in cancer treatment in superconductors. Dysprosium, vital for EV and wind turbine magnets. Gadolinium, enhances MRI scans and metal alloys. Lutetium, dense catalyst metal used in oil refining. Samarium, powers magnets in turbines and lasers. Scandium, found in aerospace parts and oil refining. Neodymium and praseodymium, I guess. Praseodymium, essential for EV motors and turbines. China dominates production, though not yet restricted. U.S. has almost no refining capacities for these metals. Per Project Blue, China's control of mining and processing gives it a strategic edge, especially since the materials have civilian and military uses. Ukraine's parliament has extended martial law and mobilization from May 9th to August 6th. Trump will personally negotiate tariffs with Japan. Denmark plans to send its military to Ukraine for training in order to adopt the experience of the armed forces of Ukraine, in particular countering drones. Denmark plans, it's a doubler. Latvia withdraws from anti-personnel mine ban treaty. U.S. Secretary of State Rubio and Trump envoy Witkoff will travel to Paris on April 16th to the 18th, where they will discuss with Europeans, among other things, Trump's plan to end the conflict in Ukraine. China says it will ignore numbers gained by U.S. on tariffs. We will fight till the end if interests are harmed. Slovak Prime Minister Fico says Kaja Kallas has no right to threaten politicians with consequences for traveling to Moscow to celebrate the 80th anniversary of victory. Zelensky says we will not simply leave the scum who kill our people in peace on this earth. We have every right to respond. It is absolutely just to treat murderers as they deserve. Britain will support Germany's decision to send Taurus missiles to Ukraine, according to the Telegraph. More than $1.5 trillion was erased from the U.S. stock market today. Russia violated energy ceasefire over 30 times. Ukraine says Russia has breached the partial ceasefire on Ukrainian energy infrastructure more than 30 times since March. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hiroshi Taikihi said 3 violations occurred in the past 24 hours. Rubio shuts down U.S. Foreign Disinfo Office. Oh no, whatever will we do? U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced the closure of the State Department's Disinformation Office, citing threats to free speech. Originally launched to counter terrorist propaganda, the office evolved into the Global Engagement Center, focusing on Russia and Chinese influence. 2024, it was renamed the Counter Foreign Information Manipulation and Interference Hub, or FIMI. Bukele to double the world's largest prison for United States deportees. That's right. You are now going to be possibly sent down to El Salvador. El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele plans to double the size of the CCOT prison, already the world's largest, to hold 80,000 inmates, including U.S. deportees. To the row. Trump first wants to strike deals with Japan, India, and South Korea in order to isolate China. Gold rises to $3,333 per ounce. No coincidences. Alaska 5.1 magnitude earthquake hits the Aleutians, 26 kilometers depth. Tsunami info statement. M 5.1 It was 95 miles southwest of Adak, Alaska, 1950 AKDT. April 15th, tsunami not expected. Israeli officials began to move toward a proposal for an expanded bombing campaign, which would also require American support, according to people familiar with the plan. Some American officials were open, at least initially, to studying the Israeli plans. General Michael A. Kurilla, commander of the U.S. Central Command, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, discussed how the United States would support an Israeli strike if Trump approved the plan, according to those familiar with the discussion. With the White House's approval, and the United States escalates its war against Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen, General Kurilla has begun moving military equipment in the Middle East. Aircraft carrier Carl Vinson is now in the Arabian Sea. It'll be joined by the Harry S. Truman in the Red Sea. The United States has deployed 2 Patriot missile batteries, along with the Terminal High Altitude Air Defense, with THAAD air defense system in the Middle East. It has sent about 6 B-2 bombers capable of carrying 30,000 pounds of bombs, essential for destroying Iran's underground nuclear facilities, to Diego Garcia, an island in the Pacific Ocean. Also, the possibility of transferring additional fighter jets to the region, perhaps to a base in Israel, has been examined. The United States has advised Israeli officials to delay strikes on Iran, citing unnamed Trump administration officials with knowledge of the matter. The New York Times has reported that top military decision makers planned to conduct strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities as early as next month, and were told by the U.S. that the White House wanted to put the plan to attack the Iranian nuclear facility on hold. Officials also told the New York Times that most, if not all, of Israel's concepts of operations would need the United States to directly support and or participate in the strikes if they wanted to achieve and strike operational goals. During the meeting with you in Washington, D.C., President Trump also reportedly told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that the United States would not support any unilateral Israeli strikes on Iran while U.S.-Iran nuclear talks are ongoing. Kind of seems like a line in the sand. Finland has announced that it will keep its border with Russia closed until further notice. Trump has extended the ban on Russian-affiliated ships entering U.S. ports for another year, continuing restrictions citing national security concerns and ongoing issues related to Russia's actions and policies. The extension keeps the prohibition in place through at least April 2026, covering vessels flying the Russian flag or linked to Russian interests. After the United States President Trump suggested yesterday that he would support such a move, that the White House confirmed today that they are looking at the legal basis for being able to deport not just illegal immigrants, but also Americans charged with certain crimes to the notorious CCOT. Let's see if that goes through. Gold fund net inflows have hit a record $80 billion year to date. This is 2 times more than the previous high set in fall of 2020. Investors are pouring money into gold at a record pace as the market's uncertainty has skyrocketed. As a result, gold prices have rallied 22% year to date and have outperformed every other major asset class. Gold prices have also hit 52 all-time highs over the last year. posting the best streak in 12 years. Gold is the global safe haven. Jennifer Griffin has reported that B-2 bombers operating from Diego Garcia have been employing GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, or MOPs, against underground Houthi infrastructure targets since early April. The MOP is a highly specialized and limited stockpile weapon designated specifically to neutralize deeply buried and fortified targets. If confirmed, this would mark the first known combat use of the GBU-57 and would send a clear and deliberate message to Iran. A number of Israeli and American officials discussed taking out IRGC Aerospace Force Commander Amir Ali Hajizadeh last October as a potential response to Tehran's second direct attack on Israel. In the end, however, Tel Aviv sufficed with destroying the Iranians' or defense and ballistic missile production capabilities. United States Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent announces the start of a maximum pressure against Iran's regime oil energy sales. Trump administration has made one thing clear: we will apply maximum pressure to Iran and disrupt the regime's oil supply chain and exports, which support terrorist proxies and partners. Any refinery, company, or broker that chooses to purchase Iranian oil or facilitate the Iran's oil trade places itself at serious risk. We are prepared to take all actions available to get Iran's energy exports down to zero, where they belong. Netflix's Yemenite source says United States airstrikes are exhausting the Houthis, paving the way for a ground assault by local forces to topple Houthi regime. Key is to take over the port city of Hodeidah. The Yemeni anti-Houthi source told Israel's KAN News. Netflix version of Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ removes the Old Testament passage at the start of the film and now replaces it with a blank screen. That's entertainment. All right, friends, that is your crisis report for April 16th, 2025. We hope you're having a good day, good night, and all that, and we hope for you to join us here on Locals or Subscribestar, any of the places. We would love to have you, but just being here is good enough. Hit the like button, subscribe, and all that. Darken out the bell, get the notifications, and we will be back again. Same bad time, same bad schedule, about 10 p.m. Eastern. All right. God bless. Have a great night.